Welcome to Movement with Amy Online. This class is Journey into Crow. So expect that crow pose is the destination, but there is by all means a journey. So leading up to that pose, you'll be given all the tools that you need to feel strong and confident in the shape. Welcome to Movement with Amy Online. This class is Journey into Crow. So it's all about the journey. It's all about the prep work that takes you to the peak pose, the destination of Crow. What you need most, or the highlights, are strong toes, so the ability to point your feet so that your feet pick you up a little bit higher in the pose, so that that part of your body doesn't become dead weight and drag you down so that you're heavy on your wrists. You'll need a proper strong knee bend so that you can tuck those legs in really small. So that comes in the form of a tight hamstring curl. So we've got strong ability to point your feet, tight hamstring curl, and then on top of that, all kinds of belly strength. So you can get your scoop, so you can kind of make this great negative space between belly and your strong bent legs. You want a fully round back. Then there's the obvious, your grip strength. So you'll want to be acquainted with the fingers just as much as you are with the toes. So for this class and many of my classes, I provide you with a little flashcard at the beginning and at the end that highlight those points. So you'll see that now. You can have a look at it, or always pause your phone or your device and make sure you have those points. All right, so quick demo that I always do in my workshops. I'll show you crow with lazy feet. So this will look a little heavier, kind of a little looser, because I'm not performing that hamstring curl and that tension in my feet. I'll show you what we're going for and what we're building to. So the pointy toes, the strong knee bend will really help bring height to your crow. Let's get started. You don't need any props. We will begin standing on our mats. Hands on hips. Begin with your right leg. Keep the hands on the hips to encourage stability, a lack of motion there. So bend just the right knee without swaying or dropping the hips. So right knee forward. This will be an elliptical motion. Now slowly peel the right heel up off of the mat. So you have this nice bulky calf raise. And then sort of think of that spinning elliptical machine. Think of a circle or an oval as you slowly back the knee away from the front and lower the heel down. So you will feel some movement under your fingers. Your thigh is getting a bit of a floss, but try to keep the hips from sagging, keep them as square as possible. Same leg. Right knee goes forward without dropping the hips, so it's very subtle. Lift the right heel so you're in a tight calf raise, again prepping those lower legs. And then get a little bit of a playful motion as you begin to straighten and return the heel onto your mat. Right shin, unplug the right heel, and then sort of swivel into a straight leg, backing the shin bone back, landing the heel. Shin bone of that right leg forward, heel pops up. That swiveling motion to return the heel with some drama. Right shin, right knee forward, right heel up. Squeeze the calf muscle and then back the heel onto the ground. Right shin forward. Right heel peels up off of the mat. Begin to straighten the leg and return the heel. 2 more, shin, heel lifts, the leg swivels into place. Shin forward, heel lifts, the leg swivels almost up, back and down into place. Now adding on, same leg, shin forward, heel up, add, very straight on, even if it's uncomfortable, coming right onto the toenails. So flip into that more official ballet point. The front of the ankle should feel quite stretched out. And then come back the way that you came. Come back onto the toes, so get off of the toenails, be on those toes, and then slowly, like you did before, lower the heel while straightening the leg. So, right shin forward, right heel off of the mat. Come right over, a toe roll over onto your toenails, not sickling the foot left or right, so it's very straight on, very linear. Back out of that, so you're on the skin of the toes, and then slowly lower the heel down and into the ground while backing the knee straight. 3 more, shin forward, heel off of the ground, full roll over, so a tight calf muscle as you come onto the toenails. Untuck, and then slow lower of that heel. Leg will go straight. 2 more, shin forward, heel up, come right over onto the toenails, come back to where you were, and then squeeze the heel onto the ground. The shin forward, the heel up. Come all the way over onto the toenails, compressing the foot on purpose, flip back to where you were, and then land the heel down. Keeping the motion, but adding on, the hands are on the hips, you're still working on your right leg. Lift the right heel. Come over onto those right toenails. Really squeeze and emphasize your strong, bulky calf muscle. Keep those hips steady, and then bring the right knee up to the sky. Maybe even stall up in the air here and do that hamstring curl. So you have pointy right toes. You have square hips and a very heavily supportive left butt cheek. And then almost like you're gliding the shin bone down a wall or a mirror, come onto the toenails. So I want you back into that toe rolled over shape, and then simply undo it. Flip the foot, and then slow poke to lower that right heel onto the ground. Still thinking of elliptical. 3 of those, raise the heel. Come onto the toenails. Holding on to your hips for measure, pull the right knee up to the sky. As your knee goes up, it's almost as if your butts both descend to the ground. Your hip creases feel deep. Let's stay and pull the heel in tight to the sit bone. Your toes are still pointy, so you lower almost in a straight line onto your toenails. You untuck that motion, and then you come onto your heel. Couple more. Bend the knee forward, pop that heel up. Go right over onto your toenails. With very square hips and a tight foot, hop that knee to the sky or the ceiling, wherever you might be. Stall in place and curl the hamstring. Come onto those toe bones, sliding down in that perfect line. Flip onto the ball of the foot, lower the heel. Last one, right shin forward. Pop right heel, roll right over onto the toenails, pressurizing your foot. Hips down, the right bent knee lifts. You stay in place and perfect the shape, pulling the calf muscle in really tight to the hamstring. And then from here, let's hold on to the shin bone. So your 2 hands can lace the leg. Belly scoops out of the way. Hug the right knee in tight, but don't change the leveling of the hips. Maybe your chest is a bit open in this position. All right, hands to the hips. Come onto those toenails, so glide your shin down an imaginary wall. Untuck the foot, and then slowly squeeze the right heel onto your mat. Okay, right leg should feel great, nice and warm. So know that this stuff is very important, very significant. Let's go through it on the left side. This is all preparing you for some deep squats, so stay with it. Let your hips remain square. Send your left shin forward. So your view will be a little bit different, but there goes my left knee, my left lower leg forward. Unplug the heel. And then find a little bit of a sort of a back pedal as you slowly bring that left heel back down onto your mat. With both feet grounded, let the left shin or the left knee go forward. Simply lift the heel, find that moment of a very tense left calf muscle, and then have a bit of play as you back that open back of the knee towards the back of your mat and drop the heel. Shin bone forward, that same left leg. Left heel up, swivel back into your original position, slowly, tentatively landing the heel. Left shin forward, left heel up, and then swivel your way back into a planted left heel, getting that circular motion. Left shin forward, left heel up, swivel back until you're slowly finding your left heel print on the mat. 2 more before adding on. Shin forward, heel comes undone. A little half circle to return your heel print. Another one, knee goes forward, heel perks up, the leg kind of pedals back in space to its landing. Add your toe roll over, so the shin bone still goes forward, the heel undone. And then without sort of preferencing or picking a left or a right, you just go right over the toenails. So I want pressure on your left foot. Untuck the toes, lower the heel, leg will go straight. Left shin forward, left heel up, a full roll over of those toes, a quick pressure of the top of the foot, undo the tuck, and then thoughtfully lower the heel, getting a bit of a half circle there. 3 more, shin, heel undone, a full toe roll over, untuck, slowly land the heel, maybe prefacing that backwards motion of the leg. Last 2, shin, heel, roll over, untuck, slow land of the heel, backward motion of thigh. Let the shin go forward, the heel lift up, roll over onto the toes, toenails especially, undo that, and then slowly land the heel. Adding your lift. It's important to keep the hands on the hips. Heel up, over onto the toenails, and then with the stationary hips, bring the left knee to the sky for the first time. Your supporting leg is bent, both butts are strong, and it's again the concept of the bent knee going high as the butts and the tailbone almost drag down low. Stay in place and curl the hamstring. And then like you're smoothly gliding that sharp front of the shin bone against a wall, lower onto the toenails. So I want pressure on that foot. Flip the foot and then squeeze the heel to its landing. Let's do 3 of those. Left shin, left heel undone. Come onto your toenails. Your hips practically go down as the bent knee rises up. Stay and perform that hamstring curl, getting to know that shape. Your toes are quite tense. Slide the shin bone down, the fake wall, coming onto the toenails, and then unbending the toes to land the heel down. Last 2, shin, heel, roll over, hip square, knee rises high. Stay in place with both hips supporting, curl the hamstring, and then glide down that false wall. Toenails hit, the foot untucks, the heel lands. Last one, that'll end with a bit of a hold. Left shin forward, left heel up. Roll over onto toenails, and then pop the knee up towards the sky or the ceiling, wherever you are. Find tension, and then find support with the hands. Simple lacing of fingers, the 2 palm prints pressing into your shin as you take the time to squeeze the biceps, but maybe brighten up the chest. Both butts nice and heavy. And then return as you have been. One more time, the hands to the hips. Lower the top of the foot onto the ground. Untuck. And then find your mountain pose, landing both heels. All right, all of that was meant to give us a nice deep squat. Send your 2 arms forward. Long arms, fingers spread. And pretend you're kind of patting down on the air as if there is a shelf under the hands. So pat down. Feel really buff in your armpits and in your back. Lift both heels. So now we're integrating our 2 sides. Standing on the toes. Thinking of a wall behind you now. Squeeze your inner thighs tight and then allow both knees to bend. Sink down, sink down. I want a full squat, so that's why all of that really well worked elliptical prep work with the ankles was so important. So your inner ankles are kissing, your inner thighs are kissing. And then this will be sort of a squat variation. You have to counter with your fingers. I want your fingers to jut towards your screen or towards me. And then in one quick motion, fingers forward, let the heels hit the ground. So your butt's gonna stick out, it won't be pretty. A little bit like chair pose. Let your hands high five the wall behind you. Squeeze both butt cheeks as you stand. Oh yeah. Let's do 5 of those. Reach your arms straight out from your chest. Lift both heels. So again, we are integrating. We're finding stability in both ankles, both knees. Your back slides down a wall as you slowly squat. So you have your 2 heels up, but there's an inward tension between the knees, between the ankles, like you are squeezing something. And then this is still such a challenge for the ankles. So part of our cheat or part of our support is to use the hands. Really reach to the front, almost sticking the fingers and the chest out. As the heels suddenly go down, smack the hands straight back, squeeze your butt and stand. 4 more, arms out. A really beautiful lift of both heels, really bumping up those calf muscles. Inner thigh tension, and there's a wall behind you as you squat. Okay, when you get to your depth, maybe it's a little quicker this time. Hands forward, heels back, and then hands go backwards in space as you stand into mountain. Reach front. 3 more, lift your heels. Squat down, squeezing inner thighs. Fingers forward, drop the heels once you're as low as you can. Hands pull back in space, squeeze your butt to stand up. 2 more, and then we'll change it slightly. Reach front. A full-on calf raise on both sides. Your heels are lifted. Squeeze your thighs as you sit. Reach forward and land and ground those heels. Palms back to help you stand up. 1 more before it gets fancier. Reach front. Lift heels. Tight inner thighs being the key as you sit down. Almost an endless reach of the hands, part of the trick to landing those heels, but now high five backwards as you stand into mountain pose. And then just 1 quick challenge. Reach front, lift heels, squat all the way down as you've been doing. And then from here, you can keep your fingertips reaching forward. This will be great pressure on your knees and ankles. With your belly up, try to drop both knees at once. With your toes still bent, your belly feeling quite flat and your butt quite tucked, lean a little bit back. So it should be a pretty nice quad stretch. We might call this an active hero pose. Then let's put it all together. You'll have to reach forward again to pop the knees, land the heels, stand with those hands plowing backwards. Arms very plainly beside you for mountain pose. All right, mountain pose. So that was a really great start for our ankles and knees. Now moving right along to get subtle but direct affiliation with the fingertips to find some grip. So we'll do what I call a ballet globe. So take your arms just below your shoulder level. Have your elbows soft. So if you do ballet, I apologize, this won't be perfect. But your elbows are below your shoulders and your palms are kind of facing up. Anyhow, have your fingers nice and spread. Now I want you to absolutely use your chest as you squeeze the ends of the fingers together. So you'll end up with a real globe shape out in front of you. I'll let all of my fingers connect. And you want the roundness that you feel sort of in your chest and the shape that's happening in your fingers, you want that to be really blown out and exaggerated in your middle back. So the space between your shoulder blades is also part of this. It's pushing actively backwards. This is the upper body strength introduction. This is a little bit of the big stuff that you need for crow. Keeping your soft elbows, use your back, as in your shoulder blades, and maybe the space between them, to pull the arms back out to the ballet shape. So just move with tension, body weight training. We're using the air, so just imagine that feel of squeezed shoulder blades. Go right into the front of the body. I want you to use your chest to squeeze the ends of the fingertips together, and then feel the worthiness of each of those fingertips. Let them become electric and aware. Use your back to pull the arms apart. Strong shoulder blades. The elbows will stay slightly bent. Your fingers are still in a claw or a globe. Now squeeze your chest. Your shoulder blades feel spaced out as the ends of the fingers come together. 2 more. Shoulder blades strong to widen the hands. Chest strong to then narrow the hands together. And 1 more. Let's pull the shoulder blades to find that the arms go wide. Let's pull or squeeze at chest level to narrow the ends of the fingers together. And then combining and integrating always. Right heel. Your right heel lifts, so you're in a calf raise. Your arms will stay briefly in this globe shape. From nice square hips, pull the right knee up to the sky. So your hips almost drop as your thigh rises. Toes are pointy. And then you can go ahead and adjust so that you're able to, once again, lace the hands onto the shin. Squeeze the foot towards the butt. And then even just release that a little bit. So your shin bone towards your screen. And then pulse would be a good word, into a deep hamstring curl. Stay strong but let up on it, so the shin towards the screen. Pulse again. And then let up on it. And then pulse, keeping a tight hamstring curl, keeping the knee vertical to the ceiling. Keep your legs unmoving. Reform that globe. So the ends of the fingers together, hips steady, steady, steady. And then from here, let's pull the arms out to their ballet shape. Let's kick. Beautiful. Let's curl. And then from here, both knees quite bent. With both legs bent, almost align the legs. So start to point the bent right knee towards the ground. And then let's globe the fingers together. Chest is strong. We're on our way into a low lunge. Push the right knee back. Bend the standing left knee and figure out just how to get those right toes onto the ground. Let's walk the left foot forward. So adjustment, our lunges will look different. Really squeeze the right butt, the back butt, as you deliver the right knee down to the ground. Awesome. My back toes are still bent. And then just easy lunge hold to help us open up hips. We've got great ankles, we've got great knees. We have a strong chest with these globe hands. So just find yourself looking into your hip now, your butt dropping, your belly rising. Squeeze your back as you part the arms to their ballet shape. Keep the claw shape, the globe shape in the fingers. Let the palms face up. And then squeeze the arms together above you. You can keep soft elbows. Do keep the globe shape. So without collapsing the hands, let all 10 fingertips touch. Stay or adjust. I'm gonna walk my front foot forward and fall a little bit into the lunge. So even if you find that front knee goes beyond the ankle, we're fine with that. Just keep some tension in the back butt, the right butt. Opening the hip. If you want, if you're tempted to chin and chest up, you can do that. So most of our work is strength, but this is an opener. Hip opener, chest opener. For 6, 5, 4, strong belly, heavy hips, 2, and then just a swan dive. I want you to take the arms out wide, very traditional in your yoga. Fall towards me or towards the front of your mat. Simple framing of the front foot. We'll do tented fingers, it'll be a little easier. Move your head forward as you step the right foot to meet the left one. So I want you to come forward in space, hold onto your shins so your head is still projected out of your hips. You're in a flat back. Bend the knees, forward fold. Roll just to your mountain pose. Your tailbone rising, your arms zombie heavy. And then open into mountain, the fingers nice and spread. Let's globe the ends of the fingers out in front of you. Reviewing before we get into that left leg, use your back to hold your hands apart, so this nice force field between the ends of the fingers as your back squeezes. Use your chest to warp those fingers together. Use your back to drag the hands apart. Pull the hands together. Hold this one. Integrate and have that experience on the left side. Lift the left heel. Your hips practically descend as your left leg ascends. And you can hold on to the shin. Your fingers can find their laced format. Your hips square. The word pulse will work. We kind of pulse as the left heel kicks the left butt. So the knee bend becomes tighter. That hamstring curl that I'll mention again and again. Now, keep the hands, keep the knee in place, but go slack with the shin, so the shin towards the front of your mat. Now curl the hamstring. Now go slack. Curl the hamstring. Your toes are tight as well. Let's do it another time. Slack. Curl. Maintain. Reform the globe of your fingers. So we're getting all the good stuff now. Your arms to your chest level. Your toes are pointed, your hamstring is curled, and you've got a bit of grip strength. Find back strength, part the arms to ballet. Find general hip stability. Your standing right knee is hopefully already soft, full permission to soften it now. And then from here, kick, curl, and then similar cueing to the last side, almost park the knees side by side in your balance pose. So the left bent knee pointed at the floor, the hamstring curl tight. Let your standing knee soften. Squeeze your chest so we can ballet the arms out in front. And then just seek out that lunge. The left leg unfurling as the toes figure everything out. From a bent left foot, almost like dropping an elevator, send the left knee straight down. Adjust. Right foot will probably walk, but keep a bit of a conservative lunge. Both hips heavy. I want the back toes tucked. Mine are still tucked. Then easy arm sequence, ballet. Soft elbows as the hands face up. And then the two arms globing overhead. Probably more adjustment, more liberty to the lunge. The right foot can walk. The hips might even lean. The left butt especially stays squeezed. You can chin up. So the focus of this practice, stability, but this is sort of our shining moment to be more open. So explore that a bit. If you need more depth, don't wait for me. And just find your lunge for 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Arms just plainly stick out. They start to do that swan dive, that half circle. Your torso is folding over your front bent leg. Belly rises, maybe just tented fingers on the ground. A flat back pose. So I want that back foot to spring forward. Your head moves towards the front of your mat. Hold your shins right away as the feet land. Deep bend in both legs and a belly that rises up as you fold. Roll to mountain. Spreading the fingers, squeezing the butt in your mountain pose. All right, bringing the heat back up yet again for a modified sun salutation. Stay at the top of your mat. Bend both knees. Circle arms into your extended mountain pose, maybe chin up. Turn your hands completely outward facing, and then really squeeze your armpits while you swan dive all the way down to a forward fold. Your knees bend, your belly sucks in and up. Halfway lift, I want your hands under your shin bones, so your palms right onto your lower legs. Keep breathing as you lift your heels, so may that theme really continue for us. Your belly nice and up. Let your knees bend so that your hands can land. There's no forward fold here, so keep your head forward, your body nice and packed up. Quick note or quick aside, this shape, if you're able to bend the knees up and land the hands, looks a lot like crow. So nice round back. Keep your back spread, walk into a plank. Lift the space between your shoulder blades as high as you can, so nice round middle back. Push your heels back. Downward dog. Good. So no big change in the distance between hands and feet. In downward dog, lift your heels. Look at your hips, so hook your head under. Without landing the knees, find a hovering cat pose. So keep looking at your knees. Bend them until they almost kiss the mat. Look at your hands, and then kind of launch into a plank pose. Heels back, head forward. Downward dog. So that is what our sun salutation will look like. Lift your heels. Bend your knees, look to your hands, gripping the mat, step or float the flat back. Your feet land, you hold your shins. You bend your knees and fold. With heavy arms, roll to mountain. With bent knees, rise and reach to extended mountain. Hands face outward, swan dive down. Halfway lift, hands under the shins. Lift your heels. Bend your knees so that you can easily land your hands. This is not a fold. Your belly is up, your knees kind of point up as you plant your hands. Step to high plank. Down dog. In downward dog, lift the heels, constantly reminding those lower legs to strengthen. Take your head into cat pose, looking at your hips, and then just hover the shin bones, your legs bending down to the mat, your back nice and round. With legs still bent, look at your fingers. High plank, shove the heels back, your toes nice and bent. Let your head push forward just as hard as your heels push back. Down dog. Lift the heels. Bend the knees and look at the hands with very gripped fingers. Step or float to flat back. Fold down, the belly rises. Roll to mountain. With bent legs, rise and reach to extended mountain. With hands turned out, dive down. One more the same. Halfway lift, the hands on the shins. Big lift of the heels. Big bend of the knees, but the torso almost looks the same as you motion to land your hands, the knees going up. Long steps, high plank. The middle back round, fingertips bent, downward dog. Lift the heels in downward dog. Look under yourself so you're hollowing out and you're bending your knees towards the mat. So you're getting that round strength in the back. Look at your hands, your typical high plank. Shove the heels back. Big, big bump in the middle back. Then a pike to downward dog. Lift heels. Bend knees, see the hands. Travel to your halfway lift. Breathe. Bend the legs, maybe an exhale while folding. Heavy hands, roll to mountain. Poke the knees forward, rise to extended mountain. And then adding some push-ups, flip the hands, dive down. Halfway lift, hands on the shins. Lift your heels, really sending your head forward. Bend your knees, plant your hands. Long steps, high plank. Round back, pushy heels. Downward dog. Remember that globe shape that your hands took on in the arm work standing. Think of that, you're gripping that circle. Heels up. Bend the knees almost forward and down. Your head stays in cat pose. You're hovering cat one more time. Look at your hands. Burst into your high plank pose. Hold it for a few seconds, really shoving the heels back, rounding the space between the shoulder blades. That's very important. Now keep your toes bent. This is called long tabletop. I want your knees to land behind the hips, so let the knees come down. But it's not a perfect tabletop. I want the knees to be on this slant. Long table. 5 push-ups from here. Round your back. Keep your back round as you pull yourself halfway down to your mat, halfway elbow bend. And then let your shoulder blades squeeze together as you lower all the way. A double push up. Keep your knees down and push to have straight arms. Then push again to round your back. Keep your back round in the first portion, the first 50% of the arm bend. So bend halfway with your blades spread. Squeeze your shoulder blades and elbows together as you lower the rest of the way. Push up, straight arms, but stop at the top to really pop your middle back. That's the second push I refer to. With a round back, lower halfway. With blades squeezing together, lower the remainder of the way. Hop to straight arms. Round your back. Last one from end to end. Begin with a round back as you lower. And then tighten up those shoulder blades as you hit the mat. That double push. Straight arms, round back. Full plank. Lift those knees, send your heels back, and then stay in downward dog. Okay, that was a lot of work, so we'll just do a quick wrist recovery before moving on to greater hip openers and getting closer to our arm balance. Find tabletop. You can release the toes, consider this a bit of a recovery. And then just stand on a fist, stand on the other one, come back onto an open palm, open palm. So you might do right fist, right hand, left hand. Try that a few times, just walking out the hands. And I'll leave it to you to maybe switch the order of the lefts and the rights. That might just feel coordinated or more interesting. But just kind of tap the hands out, giving them good pressure. And then a brief turn of the hands, come into your normal tabletop. turn the right hand out to about 2 o'clock, the left hand out to about 10. You can lean forward and back just a few times. So maybe your knees stay in place, but your chest travels towards the front of your mat, pressurizing your hands in this rotation. And then just 2 or 3 more phases of that. Turn the right hand to 3 o'clock, the left hand to 9 o'clock, and then you can move forward and back. Good, and then find what is generally going to be your most relieving shape, just fully flipping the hands. Give the thumbs a bit of a spread. Stay and just apply pressure here. Fingers stay down. Let's lean back and lift the mouth of the hand. Maybe lifting the thumbs. That'll be very challenging. Maybe kind of lifting and scraping the thumbs. But that's one to keep in mind or to practice separately from this if you find you're low on mobility there. And then with your traditional hand shape, you can return the wrists, flip the hands, and just do one last little march out of fist, fist, a palm, palm. Okay, here we go. On our way to some squatty stuff. Find a nice clean plank pose. So I want the space between your blades lifted and round, the fingers gripped, always remembering our globe shape. Downward dog. Right leg rises, then the hip crease opens, then the knee bends. Let the left toes grow nice and tall. And then almost back to where you were. Square your right bent hip, tight hamstring curl, pull your right knee to your nose. I want your body weight to go forward. Lots of crow strength here. Tight armpits, back to your 3-legged dog. All right, look at your hands. So a little bit less roundness in the spine for this one. Push the right knee wide and forward to the right armpit. You're traveling, and then it's a lot to ask, but really push on the floor. Right foot outside of the right hand. All right, so we are thinking squat. I want your right toes at 45 degrees. Set that up so you're in this nice wide lunge at the moment. Tent your fingers, your 2 arms straight and almost out of your reach. The left ankle has to be super helpful here. So a big pointed launch to that left foot as your head goes forward. Left heel to your butt, so your second hamstring curl. Left knee out to your left. Now squat. Slow that left foot down onto the mat. And yoga squat. Let's get the butt down. It doesn't have to be perfect. We're working on our mobility so that our hips don't hold us back in our crow pose. Hands to heart. All right. And then let's try a little arm balance here. Keep your elbows on your knees. Maybe wiggle around so that feels quite deep. Walk the elbows as far down onto the knees as you can. And then really stick the elbows out like you're using them as this tool to prop the knees wide. Your toes are turned out, of course. You're looking straight forward. And then almost like you've been caught doing something, just put your hands up. Your fingers spread. All right. Let's lift the heels. Whoop. So that calf stuff, that calf raise keeps coming in. Now look to the ground so you can nose down a little bit. Don't look totally under your body. Land your hands. And then maybe just go higher onto the tippy toes as you lean forward. This is called your frog arm balance. To stay modest, I'm not actually going to do it this time, but you could play with lifting one foot or both. But then to keep this about mobility, maybe with your elbows still on your knees, start to bring the heels down. So you're perfectly retrograding that, going back into your squat. Meet me in squat. Take your arms forward. Let's add some power. Just squeeze your butt so that you're off the ground a little bit. And then it's the backwards high five again. As we stand up with very full feet, mostly heel weight, high five backwards. Tight, tight, tight elbows. And then you can flip the hands front. Heel toe the feet so that you're in a mountain pose. All right, that was one leg. We'll do that twice each side. From soft knees, drop your butt and reach your arms, extended mountain. Flip your hands and dive down. Standing forward folds. Halfway lift. Lift your heels. Plant your hands. And just high plank. Long legs. Downward dog. Your left leg rises. Then that left hip crease opens, the thigh opens, then the heel bends. Get tall on your right foot. Close your hips. So the knees are almost side by side before you pull that left knee into the nose. I want you to travel forward and really globe those fingers. Nice round back. Back to your three-legged dog. Look at your hands. And then maybe without quite as round of a back, swoop that left knee wide to the left armpit. Moving forward, left foot outside of left hand. So we're in a lunge pose to set us up for a squat pose. Tent your two hands. Look at your left foot and see that it's turned out to 45. And then get a little uncomfortable by stepping the two arms forward. Still tented hands so they're not fully on the ground. And then the motor of this transition is the right ankle. Push your head forward and really point the right foot as you lean onto the front ankle. So that back leg airborne, right leg hamstring curl, right knee out to your right, and slowly squat. Taking it easy once you get down there. Eventually finding hands to heart. And making really good use of the elbows. So you can shimmy the elbows down the thighs, rounding the back, not fearful of that round back. You push the elbows out, aiding in the wideness of the knees. So this is our second time attempting frog pose, which is a wider legged crow pose. You could do heels lifting first or heels lifting second. Again, second time doing it, so you start to find your preferences. I'm gonna lift my two heels first. Open my hands like I'm busted, like I'm caught doing something. I change my gaze a little bit, so you can look slightly forward and down as your hands hit the mat, or maybe they're already there, and as you nudge your way into it. If the feet do come up off of the mat, really spread the toes and push the knees out. To get your quietest landing and squat, tuck your tail big time. Meet me in squat. Even if it wasn't quiet, we still have two more chances after this. And then instead of sitting flexible, let's add some power. Our arms straight out of the chest. Our butts ever so slightly lifted. Your butt is pre-squeezed, it's already strong. Your toes are spread. Let the majority of the weight be in the heels as you stand up with that backwards high five. Kneecaps up, palms back. Simple flip of the hands. Shortening of the stance. Heel toe the feet together for mountain pose. 2 more. I'll make it a little smoother, yet a little bit more challenging. Bend knees, almost reach down before reaching up. And then turn the hands out, swan dive. Still emphasizing that lower leg. Halfway lift, standing on the toes. The belly almost rises higher as you calmly plant the hands, just your high plank. So none of that hopping stuff, just step, step, down dog. We return to that right leg, but this will be a little harder. Right leg up, hip opens, knee bends. Tight hamstring curl, tight globy squeeze of the fingers. Go ahead and knee to nose. You're traveling forward. Here is the curve ball. Stay forward, look at your hands. Right knee to armpit. Right foot to that wide lunge. Step it outside of the hand and take it to 45 degrees. For a moment, I'll push my left heel back, forming out this lunge. Lift the wrists. Relocate the arms farther forward. 2 arms are long. And then get a bit of pep in the back heel as you push forward. I'm standing on my right foot as I left hamstring curl, and as I push wide to step into squat. I do a quick spread of the elbows, therefore spreading the knees. I open the hands. Then you can do hands down or heels up first. You decide the order, or maybe just one shot. Heels up, hands down, go for it. Your frog pose. Tight, tight belly, and the pubic bone, the tailbone to the sky as you return to squat. Immediately lift the arms. Immediately find some height and stability in the squat, so sitting up higher. High five to stand. Heel toe the feet. Okay, mountain. Final. Reach up. Dive down. Halfway lift with the heels lift. Powering up those lower legs, keeping them significant, belly is up. High plank. Down dog. Left leg, that dual action. Left leg rises, hip opens, knee bends. The right standing heel is strong. From closed hips, swoop into a knee to nose pose. Forward and forward and forward. Stay forward, switch your gaze. Left knee to left armpit. Left foot outside of left hand. Toes are prepped at 45 degrees. For a moment, you lean into that back leg, tented hands. 2 hands forward. A light springy back leg sends your weight over the front bent thigh. Right hamstring curl. Right knee steps out and down, squat. Push the knees wide with your own elbows. Pop the hands out. Heels up, hands down in whatever order makes sense. Leaning into it, using the shape of the sort of moving calf squeeze to get you on your hands. Not shy if you have to use the toes as kickstands from time to time. Tight tailbone tuck, maybe a kind of a bend of the toes back as you squat. Whew. Arms forward, hands backwards as you stand. Standing up. Okay. Mountain pose. I'll wiggle onto my mat. Hands are in their proper formation. And then back to that narrow squat stuff. Let's use that pose from earlier a little bit differently. Reach forward. Stand on your toes. Let your back slide down that imaginary wall as you squat. And then we're not doing an arm balance, but we are understanding the shape. In this low position, scoop your belly as much as you can. Let your knees point to the sky and just pull your arms onto your knees as best as you can. So balling up so strong. Maybe pressurizing the arms onto the legs. Let's hold this shape. Tight belly, And then slowly land the heels, and you guessed it, stand up. You can power the arms backwards. One more. Reach front. Counterbalance as you stand on your strong ankles, so your heels are lifted. Squat down. And you're almost making that crow flipped upright. Your middle back is round and strong always, but hike the belly. Let the knees point to the sky. Squeeze the arms onto the knees. And let that connect in your mind. You can relax your eyes down, but think about your arms pushing into your legs and your legs pushing into your arms as you're balled up here. And then release your tension, drop your heels. Maybe somewhat of a quick stance so you don't lose your balance. All right, time for crow. I'll wiggle just a little bit on my mat. I'll find mountain pose. So put all of the pieces together. Strong toes, strong hamstring curl. The arms into the legs into the arms. The globe-like shape in the fingers. Find your high reach. Swan dive down. Knees bend on your way. Halfway lift. I'll keep wiggling so I'm in the right spot. Lift your heels. So this part is not new. And then think of the letter L and just form that with yourself. The arms forward. This part's new. Spread your fingers, maybe even have your wrists in a pre-bend. Let your hands go down to your mat as your knees go up to the sky. So we're just in a taller version of where we were before. Get your knees as high up onto your arms as possible. And we'll get a few chances at this, but much like you did for frog, just lean. You can release and lean, sort of using your toes to take yourself in and out of what may or may not be your crow. If you get into it, find those globe shapes in the hands. Puff your middle back like you did in plank. Nice pointy toes. Standing forward fold, just figure out where to put those toes. Eventually sealing the heels and dropping the head. Roll to standing. We'll do a quick standing recovery. And then we'll attempt crow 3 more times. Find mountain. In mountain, one of my absolute favorites, simple but beautiful, I call it a Tai Chi twist. So I do not do Tai Chi, but the smoothness of it just looks like that. I don't know what the move should really be called. Let's simply float the right arm, look to your left, and then just reach to your left. So your hips are pretty square. Your right shoulder blade is just exposed. Your chest is squeezed. Do what we call a counter reach. Let the left arm just go behind you, giving the ribs this nice floss. Let's pull in that globe shape as you loosen your arms down and almost tetherball back to center. Let's tap the ends of the fingers together. Nice lazy elbows. Switch sides. Left arm crosses your body. You can go right into the counter reach. The back arm is just opposing. It's up to something as well. Globe the ends of the fingers together as you swipe center. Just twice more each side. Reach left. Globe at center. Reach right. Globe at center. 2 more on your own, then simply come to mountain pose at the top of your mat. 2 more total. Mountain. that same flat back attempt one more time. With bent legs, reach wide and high. Swan dive to your standing forward fold. Hands up the shins, halfway lift. Heels off of the mat, burning out those calf muscles. And then the additional flight, your flying flat back, is arms beside your ears. Stay flying, stay floating. Bend your wrists as in plank. As your arms work towards the mat, let your knees work towards the sky, and your belly just has to lift. And then just try crow. Second attempt. The knees up as high as possible. So you may have seen my little move there. Sometimes I widen my knees before I place them. You gotta point the toes once you're up. Tightly bent knees, tight chest. So really squeeze that part of you as you lift that round middle back. Forward fold whenever you're ready. Roll to mountain, strong bend in the knees. Let's overdo the push of the knees forward while coming into mountain. Let's fly the arms back, squeeze those shoulder blades. The arms can stay behind the torso as you circle up. And then just once, form plank standing. Squeeze the legs straight. Bend the wrists as the arms stop at chest level. Feel your hands pushing the air. Your back rounded. Your thumbs moving into one another. All right, remember that power. Let your knees go forward and find a bit of flexibility. So squeeze your butt and open your hips and chest for mountain. Just get a nice swirl up into extended mountain. Find that your straightening legs launch you into your swan dive. Halfway lift. Plank. So you don't have to lift the heels this time. Taking some stuff out. Down dog. Lift your heels. Look at your hands. And imagine you've got ropes suspending the hips up and up to the ceiling. Tippy toe walk, your feet about halfway up your mat. So those ropes pulling on the hips, the belly going deeper and deeper into the spine. The wrists have not moved. That part's important. Now look beyond your fingers. Bend your knees up to your arms. Maybe wiggling them to get into place. And then nudge yourself forward. Partly getting or fully getting another chance at crow. Find your toes on the mat. Find a forward fold. You may have traveled a bit on the mat, that's okay. Same thing one more time, then we quit. With a big leg bend, roll up. Send the knees really forward. Squeeze your butt and reach back and high into extended mountain. And then straight into a standing plank. Bend your wrists, round your back and chest. Look very seriously through your spread fingers. And then liberate yourself with that mountain pose, the arms flying backwards, the chin up, big old extended mountain reach. Last swan dive. Your belly catching you as you fall to the ground. Halfway lift. Just a nice steady high plank. Last high plank. Downward dog. Fingers squeeze the mat. Heels lift high, engaging that lower leg strength. Look at the hands, or preferably almost an imaginary handprint ahead of the hands. Tiptoe halfway. So with each little tiptoe step, your butt is going higher and higher and higher, but your wrists should not lift. So the moment your wrists lift, that's the end of your tiptoe exercise. Point the knees at the sky as your butt might briefly bop down, and then lean almost directly forward. Use your toes and your fingertips to fill out that crow pose. Last attempt. Never shy or bashful about sort of kickstanding a foot down. And then land your feet. Forward fold. That part doesn't have to be perfect. Maybe just a mini halfway lift, maybe looking at or beyond the hands. Tabletop position. Stand on fists, stand on hands. So do that little walk out. Good job, your work is done. I hope that gave you some insight into your crow. And then 2 really fantastic upper body releases. One upper body, 1 full body. So meet me on your plain hands. And then come onto your back with your feet grounded. So your hips and knees will remain bent. Clasp elbows, as in something like ragdoll, so your arms are very boxy in their shape. At first, look to your right, so your head can sort of roll and flop over to the right. Then drift your 2 arms over to the right hand side as well. The left shoulder blade should feel quite spread. And our work is done, so we're going lazy, floppy, heavy. Center, so you can see the sky or ceiling, the bent arms above you. Look left, and let the arms fall to your left hand side. Simply keep going at your pace. Even yourself out, so do a left hand side and then stay at center. No rush. Once you do arrive at center, zombie the arms to the sky. And then on the floor, I want your arms to be in a capital Y. Palms facing up. Drift your 2 knees over to the right. And then let the left hand, the hand of the chest that's kind of open, let that seek its way over to the right one. It's what we would call a crocodile, sort of closing the mouth of the crocodile, letting your spine and your head move. For this to flow nicely, go back to where you were. So you want your knees pointed at the sky or the ceiling and your arms in a capital Y. Let your 2 knees fall to your left. Now the right arm moves crocodile over. And just be sure to come back to the same spot. Knees pointing up, arms wide. Do 2 more each side. once you finish up with that left twist, consider Shavasana with the arms at that capital Y. Legs bent or straight, but just open your chest and let your body absorb. Thank you. Stay as long as you'd like.